Hi, my name is Brittney Roden, and this is my health campaign presentation for APC 201. For the topic of my health campaign, I decided to do STDs, or commonly known as sexually transmitted diseases. I thought this was a great topic to talk about because I feel like society constructs STDs as social taboos and they're not really talked about, so I thought, why not talk about it for my campaign project? So, I feel like many people today do not know about the major STDs or how they are contracted, transmitted, possible symptoms of them, and ways to stay protected against them, especially one specific population, which is my target population, college students. I feel like many college students, believe that condoms can stop STDs or that condoms are only good for vaginal intercourse, and they don't think about using them for anal or oral sexual intercourse or even physical touch, like intimate physical touch. So I thought that they needed to be aware of all of this about STDs. So my health topic was around 3 popular STDs. It was around chlamydia, gonorrhea, and trichomoniasis, or commonly known as trick. And yeah, we'll just get right into it. So the CDC defines STDs as diseases that are passed from one person to another through intimate physical touch and from sexual activity, including vaginal, oral, and anal sex. And so the CDC estimates that 20 million new infections occur every year in the United States. So this is just very concerning because compared to how many people are in the US, that is actually a lot of infections occurring annually. For chlamydia, it is caused by the bacteria Chlamydia trachomatis, and it is the most frequently reported STD in the United States. So this is just, again, very concerning. I feel like most people do not know this about chlamydia, and I feel like most people don't even know what chlamydia is. The CDC says that 2/3 of these infections occur among youth aged 15 to 24 years old, and if left untreated, it can cause pelvic inflammatory disease, PID, or infertility in women, and urethritis and proctitis in men and women. For gonorrhea, it is caused by the Neisseria gonorrhea bacterium and affects the reproductive organs of men and women, and it can infect the urethra in men and women. The CDC estimates that approximately 820,000 new infections occur annually, and the highest reported rates of infection occur among sexually active teenagers and sexually active young adults. And if left untreated, it can again cause pelvic inflammatory disease and can potentially cause a man to be sterile, meaning that he is unable to father a child. For trichomoniasis, or trick, it is one of the only STDs caused by a parasite, but it is also the most common and curable disease, so that is good to know. The CDC estimates that 3.7 million people are infected, however, only 30% develop and show any type of symptoms. It is also more common in men and women, and it can increase one's chances of getting HIV. So I feel a lot of people don't know what trick is. I feel like some know about gonorrhea, and maybe like quite a few know about chlamydia, but I feel like just a good majority of people do not know about all of these 3 STDs that are transmitted through bodily fluids, which is the one way that STDs are contracted, through sexual intercourse and the exchange of bodily fluids. So for my target population, as everyone possibly knows, STDs can affect anyone and everyone. They do not discriminate. But the CDC estimates that ages 15 to 24 make up just over 1/4 of the sexually active population, but account for half of the 20 million new STD infections that occur annually. So I thought college students would be the best target population for my health campaign because their ages from 18 to 22 fit perfectly within that age range the CDC estimated. And I felt many college students are sexually active, but they do not know all the major STDs. They do not know how they are contracted, how they are transmitted, and the right ways to be protected against unprotected sex. So that is what I'm going to get into. So the theories and research that I utilized for making my health campaign, risk communication, risk perception, and prospect theory. Risk communication is defined in the book as creating shared understanding about uncertain loss or danger, and it concentrates on social theories related to risk perception and behavior. Risk perception is defined by Paik and Hove as people's subjective judgments about the likelihood of negative occurrences such as injury, illness, disease, and death. And they discovered in their study that fear-arousing news messages about risk are likely to make people perceive risk as being more serious and dangerous, and also relevant to themselves, and they are also more likely to perceive threats as being more serious to themselves. So I wanted to use this to make my health campaigns. So overall, for risk perception, basically if one perceives a risk or threat to be true, then one is more likely to act upon it and avoid the negative consequences that could occur if they didn't act upon it. For prospect theory, it is described as expected outcomes to be coded as gains or losses relative to a neutral reference point, and losses to loom larger than gains by Kahneman and Tversky. So basically this means like as humans, we expect any outcome to be either a gain or a loss, and we usually perceive losses to be more tragic than gains. So so I thought that all these theories worked really well together because they all involved risk, and with risk comes fear. So Witt describes fear appeals as being persuasive messages designed to scare people by describing the terrible things that will happen to them if they do not do what the message recommends. So basically people are motivated by fear. And so I kind of wanted to utilize all of this to make my health campaigns. I wanted to let people know that engaging in unprotected sex is a risk, and that there should be fear behind it because you can contract and get these possibly deadly sexually transmitted diseases. So also the previous research on college students and STDs showcased that many college students don't know the 3 bodily transmitted STDs, and that there's just a really big lack of knowledge on STDs by college students. Many students didn't even know that chlamydia, gonorrhea, or trich were STDs, and in one study, 90% of sexually active respondents either believed that they were not at risk or they were unsure of being at risk for an STD. And in another study, only half of the respondents knew that a person could have an STD without showing any symptoms, and a lot of STDs do not show symptoms, and if they do, it may take a long while for them to show symptoms. So this is probably why a lot of people do not know they have an STD, because they are not showcasing any physical symptoms, and they don't believe they're at risk or anything because they don't know they have the STD, and they don't get checked, and then they are passing this disease along to other people. So for my messages, which will be located at the end of this video, I created 3 different health advertisements, one for each STD. I created multiple ones because a study showed that multiple scenarios may increase the perception of a high-risk probability just because of the perceived higher number of examples. So I wanted to show multiple ads so people would realize that there is a higher risk of catching an STD. For the chlamydia ad, it has the fact that it's the most common STD in the United States, and there were also multiple statistics about the possible complications if infected with the disease. So basically these complications are the negative outcomes that one can get if they engage in risky unprotected sex. For the gonorrhea ad, it explained how the disease has developed an antibiotic resistance to all the medication created for it. I think there's only one right now that actually works to fight it. That's what the CDC said on their website. And the CDC also recommends dual therapy treatment. So this means that instead of taking one medication to fight gonorrhea, they actually want you to take 2 medications to fight it. So that's just an interesting fact and tip. Also, I stated in this ad that how many infections occur annually for people just to know that it's a lot of infections just for this one disease. And also I provided again the possible complications if one does get infected. For the trichomoniasis ad, I talked about how the disease is the only one caused by a parasite because I just feel people will perceive that as more threatening knowing that this disease is caused by a parasite, because parasites do not spell anything good. I also stated how the disease can increase one's chances of getting HIV, because many people know about HIV, but I feel a lot do not know about any of these other ads, so it will relate together. And I also explained how the disease is one of the most curable, just to provide some positive light on the whole complications. For my distribution channels, I thought if I did hypothetically post these anywhere, I would post them to my social media, because I know a lot of college students, and especially people my age, are always on social media, so I thought having these on my social media for my followers to see would really, like, they would just be there and they would see it. Since people my age are always on social media, it would be the great place to put them. Also, I felt that they could be as like internet pop-up ads, either on YouTube, because I know a lot of students use YouTube, or on a pop-up as a university website. Like the pop-up could pop up when they log into the university website to do their homework or something like that, because I know people have to log into the university website to do their homework, so it just seemed the best place also. So overall, I just felt that, since college students their ages contribute the most to all the infections in the US, I thought they would be the best target population to talk about for my STD campaign. Since most of them don't know how diseases are spread and how to stop them and anything, and that a lot just believe that condoms are good to stop everything, and that condoms are only like good for vaginal intercourse, but they really need to be used all the time, no matter what type of intercourse you're having. And the CDC, recommends like using condoms all the time to be 100% safe. Also staying in like long relationships with one partner, decreasing your number of sex partners, and then also just getting checked after having unprotected sex, because that is a very threatening risk. So yeah, so that is it. I will, like I said, include my ads at the end of this video. So thank you for watching. Bye.